I almost smacked Chris with this.
Recording.
Okay. We are now convening the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Rules Committee meeting in hearing room 408 on July 21st, and we are starting at 7:01 p.m. Mr. Clerk, can you
On the call the roll?
Yeah, that.
Member Hinsey.
Present.
Hinsey present. Member Pilpil. Pilpil present. Chair Fisher.
Present.
Fisher present. There are no agenda changes. Item number 2, file number 14030, Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Bylaws and Complaint Procedures Review and Possible Amendments. First on the list, item A, Policy for Telephone Testimony, and item B, Policy for American with Disabilities. I believe this issue came up. My apologies.
Page 4, line 11, is that part of it?
We don't currently have a specific policy regarding telephone testimony and American with Disability accommodations. However, this issue was brought up at our meeting several weeks ago, and we should develop a criteria for allowing either or in specific circumstances.
So again, on page 4, line 11, when you look at that, is that not sufficient?
Yeah, is there a specific page and line number you're citing, Victor?
No, I did not write anything regarding any new policies.
Right, well, tell me what's there looks okay to me, but what?
Yes, I believe the full task force wanted the Rules Committee to consider setting specific policies for when they would allow telephone testimony
Oh, okay.
and special accommodations for American with Disabilities. I believe the American with Disabilities, we don't really need to discuss that one. If they state they need an accommodation due to ADA, we will provide accommodations without question.
Yep.
Absolutely.
However, request for telephone testimony, I believe our general idea is that we would like all complainants to appear in person, as it better makes the meeting.
But what if we're, in essence, violating ADA by insisting on that? What
If it's a non-ADA request.
Okay,
Yes.
non-ADA. If it's an ADA request tied to that telephone testimony, we have to allow it.
If it's an ADA request, yeah, you have to.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure.
If that's the only way and that's the minimally, whatever.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't want somebody in iron lung saying you violated ADA.
No.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
And
that's not
in
gonna-
regards
Don't
to
worry, just call me.
the specific situation, I believe that if there is a telephone request due to illness or something to that effect, we should continue the matter until the person can attend in person,
Generally.
Okay.
generally. But I don't know.
If they can make a showing that a delay would be the end of the world because they absolutely need the thing and it was blah, 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 we might entertain some other way to do
Should we
it.
make these, well, the issue with these requests come in without advance notice. They come in days before. I do not have time to get approval by the body to determine if this is a valid request or not. As the administrator, I should not be making that call.
I think you bring it to the attention of the chair of the committee, and it's the chair of the committee's primary call. And if it's something that comes up last minute, then it's the committee's call. I mean, if they show up 5 minutes before the hearing and say, I need real-time captioning, we'll say, I'm sorry, it's not available. It's not available today. Do you want to continue your case? And if so, that's up to the task force to decide. And if not, then we'll hear it. Let's go. You know?
Don't you usually know that in advance? Doesn't
Right, but I'm
somebody?
saying, for example, if they ask 3 days in advance for a thing and you can set it
And I
up.
cannot get an answer, I would give them the opportunity to continue or proceed
Yeah,
in
they
person.
should get that opportunity to continue. 'Cause
And I don't know that we need to write that up to any great degree.
Just general policy, just for at least the administrator to. The issue is every time the administrator does something, there's somebody who wants me to document it, no matter how small the issue or And if I cannot document it, I am not allowed to do it.
So when in doubt, I think you check with the chair, and if the chair says, let's do
Well, you're
this, then
pointing
you
at
put
me, it's really,
whoever the
it's
chair
really
of the committee is,
Allison.
and if the chair of the
I
committee...
believe I have enough instructions.
Yeah, and then
I
you
can-
write it, and you say the chair of the committee decided you can do whatever.
I will write a short line that it's at the call of the chair to make that determination,
okay.
and or his or her designee.
Sounds good.
Time limits for hearings, I don't believe there's much to, there's been several mentions of that, but I don't believe there's any proposals regarding that at this time.
Boy, that would be nice.
Sorry. Was there a thing on,
Who
like the
proposed that?
was that
Well, I
like the
think it was
3-minute, 5-minute thing?
No, I'm thinking total time for each
Like a half
meeting.
hour.
see.
So,
And maybe limits on question and answer and so forth.
Well-
It's brought up by several members and several members of the public, so I
I
put it
think
here.
we should set the tone, so to speak, and maybe we should adopt a time limit of the task force members' questions and answers. We are sometimes our own
Yes, I am.
worst enemies. That's all of us. I'm not singling you out.
Well, I mean, let's be clear. We just heard 8 substantive items in 3 hours.
I'm dividing it up, and as I amortize it over that period of
Yeah.
time, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Right.
I'll agree with you on that one.
And particularly when we can cluster and hear things together that are like and similar, that's all to the good.
I would like us to go with more of a one bite of the apple type of methodology. We do that with one of the clubs I'm in, where you get one question, and that's it. You don't keep pummeling away.
That sounds good in theory, and
It's a guideline. It's not
Okay.
a rule.
all right.
It's a guideline.
Where we need to tease out
I
information
know.
for we need
Again, the word guideline.
all right.
We strive for that, and there's always exceptions.
And there's every meeting or every hearing will be slightly different in that
Yeah.
it's hard to write something that will apply to all situations. I just wanted to mention it since it was brought up by many parties. I don't know
Probably
if
by
there's
many
anything,
complainants.
I don't know if there's anything I can write into the complaint procedures regarding that. Maybe I can write something under it shall be the general policy to try to limit
There you go. General policy, use the word guideline. I like that, too.
That's cool.
Thank you.
And we can apply that to members of the task force, parties, members of the whatever are encouraged to. Yeah.
Item D, review and evaluation of the complaint committee procedures. This is more of a 6-month tune-up. If there's anything in the current process that you do not believe is working correctly, recommendations, evaluations. One change that I believe I will try to implement shortly is that we recently authorized all of the committees to sit as the complaint committee. It was integrated
working
into
out?
their description.
How's that working out?
We haven't implemented that at this time. We still have separate meetings for complaint versus the rules.
So,
The rules committee would meet and they would be allowed to hear complaints.
So we
So-
would have like these 2 agendas would have been one.
Yes,
does EOT hear complaints, and does
I haven't
compliance-
implemented this yet.
But somebody else did. There was one committee that heard complaints.
Compliance and
Compliance
amendments.
heard complaints. Okay.
IoT has not recently done any complaints.
Oh, because they're too busy.
Busy, hasn't met, etc.
But
So-
is there,
Chair of compliance.
Well-
Isn't that you?
No, compliance is Lee, and Chris is EOT.
yes,
So with that, these 2 agendas just would have been one.
Yes.
That's all. That's the only change.
and in this procedure of the recommendations going forward, the task force is starting to get the idea of what the intention was, or what my intention of the whole process was for the committee to hear the item, make the recommendations, and have the full task force either vote up or down with minimal discussions. That happens sometimes. In other cases, they tend to get too involved with the discussion again. But I think we are slowly working towards the intended goal. I don't know if you have any suggestions.
On that, when you take, for example, what we just did, draft a recommendation / order, right, a recommendation. If you can, in particular on the complicated things where we heard them all together, if you could have like a paragraph or two, not the 14 pages, but a paragraph or two summarizing that he had blah, 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 and that the committee discussed it, right?
I tend to do that. I tend to
and-
give a lot more detailed description.
And to run that by the chair so that you take a look at
I
it before.
send it to the chair, but
Okay.
there's usually not enough time for a
I know.
response.
But so that there's some heft in there so
Responded today?
Lou.
Yes.
So there's some heft in there so that the other members can see that and say, oh, okay, I get that it's complicated, but I get where you guys da-da-da-da-da. So that would minimize, I think, the amount of time.
It is my attempt to give a more detailed description of what happens, with the
particularly where it's
recommendations.
complicated, where it's straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I try to
Yeah.
give them something to give them enough knowledge to make an accurate decision.
So I think
But-
that works. That's cool. And yes,
And-
we should review the complaint committee procedure. I like that you've got at the end here new issues, and maybe you could like put a date whenever you add something to it. And you can just sort of keep this and bring it back up every 6 months or when that list has grown to a point where you think it needs to be addressed. And when things get dealt with, then I think you just check them off and they go away. Does that work?
I try to,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I try to write everything down now.
It's a concept.
And
Process.
Yeah.
next on the item, I have created a new did I write it in
Page 7.
page 7? Yes, I created a new policy regarding correspondence and emails. This is response to a member of the public who was very insistent that all emails submitted to the SOTF email address be forwarded to all members of the task force.
No.
So let's be clear. So it's not going to be forwarded to all members. It's going to be put in the file, and it'll
Yes,
be made part of the
therefore,
packet.
I have documented the procedures according to Chair Washburn's instructions. Communications and or written arguments to the SOTF regarding an active complaint shall be placed into the file and distributed upon scheduling with the packet.
Okay.
Other communications regarding new complaint filing, general communications, and communications with the SOTF was copied will be logged and listed in the administrator's report and be available at the regularly scheduled meeting of the task force as we currently do. That is my email log.
Actually, and we should number these or something rather than bullets. On the third bullet, item 1, the logged and listed, I think you can eliminate that because that's in the second bullet.
Okay, I
Logged and
will
listed.
eliminate item 1.
And then that will become 1 and 2 instead of 2 and 3. Or if you want, it should probably be, Victor, it should probably be like H 1, 2, 3, 4 AB or something.
I will take a look
You'll
at
figure
that.
it out. Okay.
And then in the last case, if specifically requested that communications be forwarded to the members of the task force, it shall be at the discretion of the chair and his or her designee to forward items as needed.
I'm not sure what that means.
Sorry, let me read it specifically. I was trying to paraphrase. The chair of the task force and his or her designee shall have the discretion to process communications as the situation dictates in order to manage the workload pending before the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. Postponement requests, general emails for information.
Do we need that? I mean, I don't understand what
I
that's
need
doing.
to have that, otherwise they will expect me to forward all documents to all members.
Yeah, you don't want to.
No,
I
but
need
do-
to leave that at discretion of the chair so that she can make that decision.
But-
Otherwise, I will have people requesting everything be forwarded.
Is that not covered by the first 3 bullets? I just don't think
There are
we
certain
need that.
situations where I will forward items. It doesn't always go into the log.
Like?
Reports from the city attorney on supervisor of records report, or if I get a report, I sometimes forward it just to be sure everyone gets it in a timely manner. It's not an
That's
item
fine.
on our agenda.
But that's covered on the third bullet. If it's not related to an open complaint, it'll be included and or forwarded. And if you get some whatever thing,
I believe, if so, third bullet is, if so requested, and at the discretion of the chair. Oh, yes, you're correct.
okay.
That would
and
cover
actually,
it.
I mean, I'll look at this more carefully. I think on the third bullet, you could probably strike if so requested and, so that would just start at the discretion of the task force chair and or his or her designate. Obviously, if they request it.
We don't need to put if so requested. I understand.
Okay.
It is a given that if they request or not. We can clean that up. It was first pass, and
Yeah.
that is why we have this meeting.
And that
Okay.
that
Good
second
to me.
that section there, starting on line 22. I think that makes sense. It may need to be a little reworded, but I think that makes sense.
Yes, any rewording would be appreciated.
What?
Thank you.
Can you read this thing?
So just to summarize, we will reword bullet point 3. We will eliminate bullet point 3, item 1, and we will eliminate bullet point 4.
But I think you can keep the second graph there. The preference thing.
Yes.
It is my preference to keep the section about preference. Yeah. Okay.
This gives you kind of a summary of what I've had to...
If you clean this up tomorrow or the next day, if I can get an electronic version, I might do some
Yes.
edits on this.
It will be going
Non-substantive.
before the task force on August 5th.
So you need
as
that.
an overall
Okay.
amendment. I emailed copies to all members for amendments.
Okay, so I need to get that. Do you
That
need
completes...
Do you need a motion on this?
Others, yes, I guess we can make a motion to make the proposed amendments and forward it to the full task force for review on August the 5th.
Right, and none of these other future issues need anything right this moment?
Not at this moment.
Right.
All the other issues, I did not add anything else besides the communication policy. Do I have a motion?
Member Hinsey?
Go ahead, Fiona.
Motion to adopt or recommend the changes to the full task force and let our administrator write it up.
Is there a second?
Second.
There are no members of the public in the room at this time. On that motion, Member Hinsey.
Aye.
Hinsey, aye. Member Pelpel.
Aye.
Pelpel, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. Item number 3, public comment. There is no member of the public comment in the room at this time. Item number 4, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items. If there are no announcements, we can move on to adjournment.
So our next full task is
August the 5th.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
right around the corner, August 5th. Oh, thank you. SOTF, 4 o'clock, right?
Can I just ask a general question if we have a second?
Go wild.
I am still interested in, I hate to say this, but having more committee meetings so that we could get through some of the backlog better. I mean, we actually dealt with
I have a backlog.
8. We dealt with 8 substantive things today. That goes to the task force. The full task force will hear, 4 or 5 new substantive things? 6?
They're scheduled for approximately that, yes.
Okay. So we've got 8 plus these. EOT did not meet, so 8 plus 5 is 13. So we'll be minus 13, but plus whatever came in this month. If we're getting more than 13 a month and we're only processing 13 a month, then things are getting worse. We're trying to, right? So
Are we backing up again?
well, we had like
We've been holding steady around 50.
50 or 60, right?
Yes,
We
around
still
that.
I thought we had killed I thought 35 of them were all one person.
Yes, but the last person we had has approximately 30.
As what?
30.
So we have one person who has 30. And, I mean, that may be like that bag at SFO that just keeps circling around the baggage carousel that nobody ever picks up, and it
We
just keeps
still-
going and going and
We
going.
are in pretty good shape.
We should try. We should be able to whittle. We need to do more to whittle that down. That's my only point. So if we could get to the point where we've got a full task force meeting once a month and the two major committees meeting once a month so that everyone basically attends a full task force meeting and one committee meeting a month, then I think we can get more recommendations and whittle that down. But that will take some negotiation about time and hours, and here we are at 7:20, et cetera, et cetera. So if we can think about that kind of schedule, we might be able to be a little more aggressive. Not a lot, but a little more aggressive on whittling down the number.
I think this is a discussion to have at the full task force.
I wanted to plant the seed, that's all. You don't have any great, I don't think any of us have a great desire to meet any more frequently or any less frequently than necessary. You don't want to be here once a week. You don't want to be here, right. But if once a month isn't cutting it, then, and I don't think having 2 meetings of the full task force a month is particularly productive. I think if we can work through it this way, this is helpful, actually. All right, anyway, I just wanted to plant that.
Actually, we're still in the questions part of the...
Yes.
What's going on with our appointments to this?
I sent out a reminder, I believe, the beginning or the end of last week, to both the Society of Professional Journalists and the New California Media. I have not received any responses.
So the open seats right now are the SPJ must be a lawyer,
Yes.
and then
SPJ journalist.
SPJ journalist is still open?
Yep.
Yes.
Whose was, oh, that was
That was
Ally,
Ally
right? And then New American Media,
Rishi.
He's
which doesn't
still a
even
holdover.
really exist.
Right. He's still on
His
as a
term has
holdover.
expired, but he's sitting as a holdover.
Properly appointed, serving as a holdover.
But he's not here. I thought he resigned.
Nope, didn't resign.
Oh, he hasn't resigned?
No.
So he can hold that spot and never show up?
He is officially a holdover at this time. I did send a letter to the Board of Supervisors regarding the absences already.
But until they appoint someone behind, it doesn't matter. What's
Yeah,
the difference?
well. So is there even such a thing as New American Media anymore?
It's
I mean,
New California Media.
no,
Well,
went from-
it was New California, now it's New America Media.
And then it's becoming some not so much anymore. So at some point, if and when we amend the ordinance, we need to do something about that
amending the
appointment.
ordinance is going to require
Going to the voters. Yes, I know.
And there is a ballot measure going before the voters to amend the ordinance at this time.
There is when?
I
For
will
November.
bring a copy
We'll
to the
have
board
it at
meeting.
the full task force on
Wait.
August 5th.
I'm doing the pack right now, not the public meetings one.
Yeah, the public meetings one amends the ordinance. Yeah.
I'm looking at it right. I have it up right here. It's funny. It's David Lee's.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh no, this is my own. This is. But that doesn't address this problem. Maybe we could have gotten him to stuff that in.
It adds additional requirements.
I thought it was just you have to stream meetings and people can
Right.
call in from Iceland if they want.
Correct.
It's more complicated than that. I did an analysis on it, and I will provide it to the task force.
Can you provide that to us when you? I'd be curious. What is?
Yes. I'll provide the link.
I'm pulling up the website right now. I thought that was just for streaming, so
Yeah,
it's.
it is. It doesn't, but it does.
It's also addressing time certain for meetings.
Yeah. It's some of
it's
the
So
bringing in the
stuff.
city
requirements. I thought requirements for public meeting of local policy body. That's not amending the Sunshine Ordinance.
It is.
It
Charter.
is.
We shouldn't get into this in more depth. We're going to talk
Okay.
about this in 2 weeks at the full task force.
Okay. I'm.
But yeah,
I just talked to David Lee a few days ago, not about this, but about.
Yes. There being no further business, may we adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned.